Welcome back to the second and final part of this Rise and Fall of Sebastian Vettel series. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure you check that out first, link is in the description. And as always, if you do enjoy videos like this, why not subscribe, drop a like and comment your thoughts. The 2014 season saw the beginning of the turbo hybrid engine era, which didn't really work in favour for Red Bull as they had so much success in the previous aerodynamics era. There was also a change in the Red Bull drivers lineup, with Mark Webber announcing his retirement and young Aussie driver Daniel Ricciardo replaced him. Vettel, I'm sure at this point, would have been delighted. His vastly experienced, bitter rival teammate had just retired and he was now teamed up with a relatively inexperienced Daniel Ricciardo. But Vettel had a very underwhelming season. Not only did he become the first driver to fail to score a win while defending a world championship since Jacques Villeneuve in 1998, the German also got beaten by his 25-year-old teammate Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo beat Vettel by an impressive 71 points and scored 3 wins to the defending champion 0. Was Vettel's time at Red Bull over? Well, it was indeed, and the German swapped the Red Bull outfit for the notorious prancing horse. The biggest news of the driver transfers was Vettel's to Ferrari, and it was a start of a new era for Ferrari, and both parties would hope to return to the days of dominance on the early 2000s. Vettel made his Ferrari debut by finishing 3rd in Australia. He followed that up by winning the Malaysian Grand Prix, his first race victory for over a year and the first win for Ferrari for almost 2 years. He then won the Hungarian Grand Prix to remain a championship contender after he started from 3rd on the grid. He dedicated his victory to driver Jules Bianchi, who died the week prior from injuries sustained in 2014. At the halfway point of the season, Vettel was 42 points behind the championship leader and Mercedes driver Hamilton. Vettel finished his debut season for Ferrari in 3rd on 278 points, winning 3 races and scoring a further 10 podiums. So Vettel's first season for Ferrari went relatively well and finished behind the 2 dominant Mercedes drivers. 2016 was a relatively similar season for Vettel, although this time Ricciardo and Red Bull jumped ahead of him in the standings as they had majorly improved their car since that horrific 2015 season. He labelled Red Bull driver Daniel Kvyat a madman, as described his overtaking manoeuvre as suicidal at the Russian Grand Prix. Vettel retired on the first lap after 2 consecutive collisions with Kvyat. Vettel ended his second season with the prancing horse on 212 points, with 0 wins and 7 podiums, finishing 4th in the driver's standings. The 2017 season was Ferrari's first real push for the driver's title, and in Vettel's 3rd season at Ferrari started with a victory in Australia, his first in 18 months. The early form continued the following races, winning in Bahrain and Monaco, and finishing 2nd in China, Russia and Spain. In Azerbaijan, Vettel collided into the rear of race leader Hamilton under the safety car, accusing Hamilton of brake testing him. Moments later, Vettel pulled alongside and hit his Mercedes as they prepared for a restart, for which he received a 10-second stop-go penalty. Vettel's championship lead was cut to only a single point in Great Britain as he suffered a puncture on the penultimate lap and dropped to 7th place. Vettel started from pole in Hungary and maintained the lead. He overcame steering issues and held on for victory, which gave him a 14-point lead over Hamilton. However, Mercedes dominated after the summer break, and Vettel lost the championship lead at the Italian Grand Prix. Unfortunately, it was not time for Vettel to claim his 5th world title, as he finished off the season behind Hamilton on 317 points. The German achieved 5 wins and 8 podiums in the 2017 title fight. The 2018 season was dubbed the Fight for 5 by the media, as for the first time in Formula 1 history, 2 quadruple world champions lined up at the start of a season. This season was the ultimate showdown between Hamilton and Vettel. For the 2nd consecutive year, Vettel began the season with victory in Australia, after he took the lead while pitting under the virtual safety car. At the Chinese Grand Prix, he was hit by Verstappen in the latter stages of the race, which caused both to spin. Vettel limped home in 8th place, with his championship lead reduced to only 9 points. At the Canadian Grand Prix, Vettel won the third time in the 2018 and for the 50th time in his career, becoming only the fourth man to reach a half-century of wins. The following race in France, Vettel lost the championship lead following a collision with Bottas. He bounced back in Great Britain after he passed Bottas in the last laps to take victory. Vettel led his home race until he slid off the track and hit the wall in the latter stages as rain started to fall, although he won in Belgium, in which he passed Hamilton for the race victory. Contact on the opening lap with Hamilton nearly saw Vettel damage his front wing and drop to the back of the field, but when he recovered to cross the finishing line in 4th place, it left Vettel 30 points behind the Mercedes driver with 7 races left. In the end, however, Hamilton came on top, winning quite comfortably in the end by 88 points. A lot of people say that when Vettel was leading his home race in Germany and when he crashed, that lost him the confidence, and thus the title was all but Hamilton's. After showing impressive pace throughout pre-season testing in Barcelona, Vettel and his new teammate Charles Leclerc headed to Australia, with many pundits believing they had the car to beat for the 2019 season. The opening weekend proved to be difficult, however, as Vettel qualified some 7/10 of pole position in 3rd and finished the race in 4th place. 3rd place finishes in China and Azerbaijan followed, as Mercedes continued to dominate once again. Vettel got his one and only win in Singapore in 2019, and that was as many believed because he was favoured over Charles Leclerc at the pit stops. This was now the second time in Vettel's career that a new, younger teammate had beaten him in a season. Not only did Charles Leclerc beat him by 14 points, the Monegasque driver also won 2 races and looked like the Ferrari's future talisman. Ferrari later announced they would not extend Vettel's contract beyond the 2020 season. Team principal Matteo Binotto explained there was no specific reason for the decision, though both parties noted it was an impeccable agreement. The season was disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, as the first 10 races of the original calendar were either rescheduled, postponed or cancelled altogether. Ferrari discovered problems on their car following pre-season testing, forcing them to make a major redesign. Vettel ended the 2020 season with the worst performance to date, finishing 13th in the drivers' standings on 33 points with 1 podium, and finished 65 points behind Leclerc, who beat him for the second successive season. The new Aston Martin team announced that Vettel would be joining them and replacing Sergio Perez. This is, in my opinion, Vettel's last opportunity in Formula 1, and if he doesn't perform in 2021, then I don't see him getting another seat because of his large wage. I do hope Vettel sticks around in Formula 1 for another couple of years, as the sport wouldn't be the same without the German. That's the end of the rise and fall of Sebastian Vettel. I hope you enjoy watching the German's fantastic highs, but some almighty lows. Hope you guys had a great Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful New Year.